underneath my truck, and there is the nuts that hold the exhaust to the manifold, so I got to take those off, and those are a 15 millimeter, so it looks like I can get to them pretty good. There's 3 of them. Should be able to get them, and then we can take those off, and then we can do the top, and then we should be able to install the new one. So I'll get my socket, and I'm going to use an impact on that. So here I am. I'm actually getting them out. I tried my little Temu impact, but it didn't have enough torque to do it, so I had to do it by hand. And I'm using this wrench, this ratchet that I got at Menards. It's got a telescoping handle, so it extends out pretty far. But yeah, I was able to get it. So I got one, I loosened one up halfway, and then I'm taking this one out all the way because it's kind of in a tight corner to get in there, and then I'll get in the back here and get this other one, just kind of behind the O2 sensor there, and that should be good, and then I can take the manifold off the top. So here I am finishing up on the bottom here. I got one nut left to get off, and that nut there you see is one of the front ones, and then there's one back here. Let me see if I can shine the light on it. Oh, it's hard to see right there. That one I already got off, and so those 2 are the easiest ones because you just used a socket and a straight extension, and it's pretty easy to get to. And I used a ratchet. You could use a impact if you want. I tried my little Temu impact, and it didn't have enough power, but I could have got a big one out if I wanted. But I tried it with a ratchet and a little bit of muscle, and I was able to get it, and it wasn't too bad. And yeah, that's the last one I got. And you see this one back here behind the O2 sensor there. I already got the nut off, but that was the hardest one because you have to have a little swivel on the extension, and these are studs, so you need a deep well socket, but once you get halfway through, you don't got enough room. So you get halfway through, you got to take that deep well, at least I did. You got to take that deep well off, and you got to replace it with a shallow socket because there's just not enough room, between that stud and the catalytic converter here. So, but I got it off. So, and I just got that last one. I just got to finish taking off, and then you just got to separate it from the exhaust manifold, and then go up top, and we'll take the bolts off the exhaust manifold and replace everything. We'll be good to go. All right. So here we are up top and working on the top bolts. I've already did this the day before I cracked them loose. I got a broken one at the front, was already broken before I started. And so I started this project about a week ago. I just wanted to try and see how hard these were going to be to get off. So I've watched all the YouTube videos on how hard they are and all the broken bolts people have. So I started with this one here, and the first time I tried it, it started to round off a little bit. So I stopped, and I decided I'm just going to come back to it later and work on it later. And then I bought a little extractor kit. I'll show you. So here's the kit I bought on Amazon, and I tried this to get that nut off that I rounded, and didn't have any luck with it. So then again, I decided to come back to this another day. So finally, yesterday, I started working on this, and because these are 13 millimeter bolts, and I rounded the one off, I decided to use a 12 millimeter because when you round them off, you can usually go down one size and you can fit it on there usually about halfway, and then that's usually my method. I hammer it on there, and then it's so tight that it ain't coming off, and it's gonna end up moving the bolt, or breaking it. But I did spray penetrating lube on these bolts before I did them too, but then I used this 12 millimeter because I'm replacing all these bolts when I do the exhaust manifold, of course. But yeah, I used this 12 millimeter, hammered it on there, and I worked them back and forth, um, loosened them a little bit, not putting too much pressure on them, and then tighten them and putting a little bit more pressure on them when I tightened them. And finally, I heard them. The first one, I was working on that rounded one, and I heard it crack. The metal, you know, um, breaking free of the rust. So then I started to loosen it, and it came. And I did the same process for all of them, and so I got them all to where they are loosened up enough to where I can, get them now. They're no longer seized up. So I'm gonna remove all my plug wires out of the way. Now I'm ready to start moving all those bolts. And I'm getting that first bolt out. I got two of them out a little ways, and I'm getting a third one out. I should mention when I did these, when I broke them free, I actually used a cheater on this ratchet too, so that helped having a little extra leverage. This ratchet actually has a telescoping handle, so it extends out quite a ways anyway. And I'm working on the last right there. And then I'll take them all the way out, and then we'll take this off. So there we are, got them all out. Now I just gotta free it from that bottom exhaust and pull it out and put the new one on. Alright, I got it out. That was a trick getting it in there, getting it out of there. So I lied, I got two broken bolts. One at the front here, and then one all the way at the back. I kind of thought I did. Wasn't sure. Okay. So I'll have to see if I can get those two out. So I sprayed some penetrating oil on there. I like using that PV blaster or blaster, whatever it's called. Let that soak in, and then I'm trying to get those out. So as I tried getting these studs off, the front one and the back one, ended up breaking them off flush, or this one's actually a little bit shallow of the hole. So I'm gonna have to try to use an extractor and drill into them and extract them that way. Or they sell clamp kits for these. One for the back and I think one for the front. Dorman sells them. So that might be an option too. So here's our new stainless steel header we'll be installing. Here's our gaskets. And go ahead and get started on that. So I got it in position down there. Just gonna put my gasket on and start my bolts. So I'm getting it bolted up. To get started on the passenger side, I need to spray it with some penetrating lube first, and I might let it sit for a day. But I got the driver's side in and show you what the kit looks like. So this is what you get. Two stainless steel exhaust manifolds. Get a gasket. There's the gasket. And I really like this kit except for the hardware. I don't really care for these bolts because they have a real shallow head. As far as the ones for that connect to the exhaust, they're fine because they have a regular nut. They have one of these bolts, a couple of long ones, and then one of these nuts, which you really just use the nuts. Once you get them snug, you really just have to tighten the nut, and then it tightens up. Here's one of the long bolts. Same as the other one, shallow head, but it doesn't really matter for these because you're really just tightening the nut on it. But I ordered a kit of bolts, stainless steel bolts that have a regular head on them. You can see they're bigger, and they actually got a flanged head on them. So I'm going to replace these bolts that bolt into the engine and replace them with these. Use these instead. I also mentioned that I had two broken studs on the driver's side already that were broken before I even started, and I attempted to extract them but wasn't successful. They're broken off inside the head. So I bought this kit on Amazon, which is for the rear bolt, and so this bolts to the back of the engine and then bolt threads through here and clamps the exhaust manifold down, so you don't have to waste time extracting that. So I'll go ahead and put that on and not worry about extracting the bolt. They also sell kits for the front one, and I'm not sure if I'm going to get it or not, or try extracting that. I think probably I'll get the kit, but for now that's what I'm going to do. But right now I'm going to spray some penetrating lube on those bolts there and let them sit, and then we'll take out that exhaust manifold. Out here it is. It's a pain in the ass. Had to take the O2 sensor out to get to the one bolt on the exhaust, and I had two broken bolts on the manifold bolted to the head. On the back, both two back bolts were broke, and right now I'm getting them out. I sprayed them with penetrating oil, and I'm using channel locks to get them out, or vice grips. Sorry, I'm using vice grips to get them out. And the back one's coming, and I haven't done the other one yet, so I'm working on that. So I got it in place, and I'm getting the bolts in, and I got them loosely in, and I'm going to connect the manifold to the exhaust down there first, and then once that's connected, then I'll tighten all these up. So I got the back one that was broken. I got the very back one out, but this one here, the one just from the back, I wasn't able to get it, so I'm just gonna leave it and maybe put a clamp on it later. Okay, so we're finishing up the video, and I already got the manifolds installed. Here's my old ones, driver's side, passenger side. So on this driver's side, I had the front bolt was broken and the rear bolt was broken. They were already broken before I began. I attempted to extract them and ended up just breaking them off flush. This one I broke off flush, this rear one, and this front one actually is broke off inside the head a little bit. So I went ahead and just installed the new exhaust manifolds, and I'm going to get a clamp. I already ordered it and I already actually have it. I just got to install it, but I'm going to use the clamp that bolts to the back of the engine, uses the ground strap that bolts to the back there, and there's also another hole back there, so it bolts to the back of there and then clamps to this bolt hole here, and that'll fix that. And then the front one, I may try to extract just because it's in the front and it's pretty easily accessible. Worst case scenario, I'll just get another clamp for it because they make clamps for all these. So moving on to the passenger side, this one was much more difficult to get out. Like I mentioned, when I didn't film this part of it, getting this off the exhaust. I did it for the driver's side. Driver's side is pretty easy. You know, you used a ratchet and extension, straight extension on two of them, and then you just needed a swivel on the one that was behind the catalytic converter. This one you could only use a straight extension on one of them, and then one of them you needed a swivel on, and then the other one, this one, which was right here, you actually had to take the O2 sensor out because the O2 sensor is right underneath the bolt, or right underneath the nut that you have to get to. So there's no way to get anything up into there, you know, unless you can come in at the side and you can put a wrench on it, but it's, you know, super difficult to get off. So I just took the O2 sensor out, and then I was able to get it with a straight extension and ratchet and socket. And then of course on this one I had two broken bolts at the back already before I began, which is why I was doing this project, because I have an exhaust leak, so those broken bolts were causing it. So two broken bolts in the back. The rest of these were fine. I was able to get them out no problem. Sprayed them with penetrating oil. You know, they came out pretty, not too bad. These back two being broke, so I got this out, and then I focused on trying to extract these two, I was able to get the back one out. It came out. I used channel locks. I soaked it pretty good with penetrating lube. Soaked this one also. This back one I was able to get out with channel locks, being very careful. This the second one here I wasn't able to get out. It just started stripping the bolts, so I decided not to waste any more time on that. And so I went ahead and bolted it up. So this has still got a broken bolt in this position here, but that's I can put a clamp on that, or down the road maybe I'll try to extract it. But so far it's good. It's looking good. Um, like I said, I had an exhaust leak and you really can't hear much of it anymore. I'll go ahead and start it up.